Happy Wednesday morning, everybody. Can you believe it? Mark Martin, Matt Martin, they come all the way to my race shop. I'm so excited.
We're excited.
Hell yeah.
I love this. Let's start off like this. You two have the best relationshap. It makes me happy to see you two and your mom, Arlene, travel around America. You two really get along well for a dad and a son.
We did get along well. We have a lot in common, and then he has a lot of his mother's traits as well, which are really good. I'm glad that he's, we're not completely 100% in common, because all my bad stuff he doesn't have.
I don't know. The older I get, the more I realize I'm like him. So, yeah.
Okay. My wife, Kim, has started shopkennywallace.com because I guess she's bored. Kim told me to make sure, I know we got the coffee mugs, and everybody was betting what coffee mug is Mark going to have. There we go. And then
That's
Matt,
part of waking up.
look here, you got both sides of the new mug that is going to be on shopkenny.com. So a shirt for you, Mark, and then a shirt for you, Matt.
Oh, yeah.
That is my wife. She says you guys got to have the new coffee of Kenny Louie's on there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's get right to it. Mark, I've known you my whole life, since I've been about 10 years old. Mm-hmm. Some of the fans cannot understand. You're a Hall of Famer. You've done it all. Little old me, all I did was win 9 Xfinity races. I never won a Cup race. So why have we been friends our whole life? And also, the second thing is, do you hate me? Because, does he hate me? Because we've debated about this point system. So why are we friends, and do you hate me?
You have a heart of gold, and I've known you since you were 10 or 11 years old. You've been a part of my life, an important part of my life. You and your brothers, and the racing that we did when you were a little kid, showing up at Springfield, Missouri on Friday night when Rusty would be parked outside the racetrack and we would be practicing, and after practice was over, Rusty would come in. He missed all of practice. But the third time he did that, I said, "Rusty, why are you always late?" He said, "I got to wait for Herman to get out of school." Kenny has been a part of my life since 1977.
Yeah. Okay, and for the fans, this is for all of you race fans. Do you hate me because I did not see what you saw about the point system? Do you want to bury me?
No, see, there's where some of you people need to take notes here. You need to be able to learn how to disagree without being vicious and hateful.
Oh, wow. I like that. Shorten. Here, I got to get, that was well done. Okay, we do have cheater notes because we want to stay on course. We have paperwork over here, and it is important. And like old rednecks, we got it leaning up against my steering wheel holder, and we want to do a good job for you. So right away, at what moment were you driving the motorhome, the bus, when you realized that this point system, this playoff system, when did you realize it was no good?
Well, I just listened to the fans, basically. It was not about me. It was never about me. If it was my feelings, I would have never voiced them so loudly.
Interesting.
But the fans needed a voice. I heard them. I was with them. I was out in the field with them. I was at racetracks. I read the social media and the comments. And I just felt like that I could be their voice. And so that's really what it was. And it was accumulation. Really catalyst, I think, for it was the 2024 championship. And how that went down. That's really what started the fire. And then the way 2025 turned out just added more fuel to the fire. And it just, when I first voiced the opinion, I was a little bit embarrassed because everybody looked at me like I had two heads, like I was crazy, nuts.
You were brave. You were very brave.
It did make me feel bad. The first time that I spoke out so loudly, it made me feel bad. But I did that for the fans.
Yeah. And for me, I just didn't think it was a big deal because we have been doing this points for 8 years or so. Why this year? That would be my question. I didn't see any problem. I kind of became immune to it. So my question to you is, why this year did it hit you like a ton of bricks?
Well, it started with last year, and Joey Logano won the championship with about a 17th place average finish. And so he's a deserving champion because all those talking points. He won when it mattered, when the light shined brightest or whatever. Yes, but he wasn't the greatest team and organization for the entire season. That's how we traditionally, in motorsports, judge who the champion is.
Yeah.
And tradition matters. It truly matters, and it's starting to rear its head in NASCAR that people are saying, I take tradition and legitimacy over entertainment.
Okay, Matt, let's involve you in this. You're our statistician. Your dad gets his way. Let's say NASCAR President Steve O'Donnell comes out soon. Here we are today. It's Wednesday. The award ceremony was last night. Let's say we go to 36 races. Who was our champion this year if it was 36 races? What do you know?
So according to the stats that I've looked at, if they're accurate, Christopher Bell would have been the champion this year, and I think he would have been the champion last year as well.
Whoa.
Based off the Ladford system, which I believe we need to have a debate on how the points are awarded.
Yeah.
But if you went to the Ladford system, Christopher Bell would be two-time champion. Now, I'm not advocating for that system. I'm not advocating for any way that you award points, because first you've got to be willing to say, we'll do a full season championship. And then after you say we're willing to do that, then we need to have the debate about how you award.
So this Coffee with Kenny is going to be broke up into segments, and we're going to ask Mark some highlights now. And this one pains me to ask, and there'll be more later on. When we watch Carl Edwards wreck out, okay, he's got a straightaway lead, caution comes out because of Jacques debris. It's a joke. Where's the debris? It's down in the grass.
Yeah.
Then Sunday, Denny Hamlin has a 2.5 second lead. Both of them are clearly the champions for NASCAR that year. Carl Edwards is the champion. Denny Hamlin's the champion. Has this points format, has it ruined them mentally, physically?
Well, that's yet to be seen with Denny.
Carl never overcome it.
He didn't. Carl left the sport in a way that just left me in awe. But we will see at Denny, where Denny is at now. I believe he can come back in 26 and contend for the championship again.
Yeah.
I also believe that 2025 was his year.
Yeah.
And I also believe Kyle Larson is our champion and won the championship under the situation. Nobody discredits that. One of the greatest race car drivers of our era. So kudos to those guys. Yeah. But Denny and his team did the work, put the work in, whooped everybody's ass. Anytime he wanted, he could pull out to a 3-second lead.
Yeah.
He did it all. And then because in the name of entertainment, all these different things, points resets, this, that, and the other, overtime finishes, whatever, something happens and it slips through their fingers. And it tears everybody's heart up. Oh. It's not really a flaw in the system. It's just that, doggone it, you really wanted the guy that earned it, the guy that dominated the race. They did the work. You know how hard it is to go to Phoenix and sit on the pole and lead 2/3 of the race and, pull out to a 3-second. That, when it matters, that's hard. And they did it all. And it was just heart-wrenching. So Denny is going to be challenged on, how he handles this mentally, and can he come back and give us another season at 45 years old? It gets harder every year.
Matt, you look at these things in a neutral position. You were going to be a great race car driver. You decided not to be one. But when you watched all this play out and you watched what happened to Denny Hamlin, did it crush you, or were you like, well, that's the way it is? How did you feel when you watched him lose that in the last?
It was really heartbreaking. I mean, I don't watch many races, but I wanted to watch, of course, that one. So I watched it with Dad, and I was really pulling for Denny. And I mean, he dominated the whole race, and for it to end like that.
Were you numb for a while, or did you just go on with your life?
Well, yeah. I mean, even I felt so bad for him, because it's like, I'm like, Dad, he totally earned that. And I think it's just a flaw in the whole system. I mean, when you put everything on that final race, it's winner take all.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not in the right place at the right time, even if you've dominated the entire race, I mean, you can lose to somebody that they didn't dominate at all.
You said something right there that really stuck in my brain. Winner take all. Is that too much pressure?
Well, it's a great concept. We talked about this last night.
Winner take all.
Yeah.
Wow.
Win and you're in is a great concept, but there's intended consequences that have turned out to turn the fans off. They're against it now. It was a great idea. I thought, well, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
But it has had consequences. And when you've put a traditional entire season, it comes down to a overtime green, white, checkered. The whole race meant nothing.
Yeah, 2 laps meant something.
So if we were 36 races and it came down to that, well, then that's natural.
That's natural.
Yeah.
That's natural.
Yeah.
But because we said these 4 are going to race the whole field, and
it's just this race that matters.
Just, yeah.
And really, when you have a green, white, checkered, it's just those final laps.
Okay, look, we're dead serious, but Landon Castle is a brilliant person. He made a joke. He said, next year, we're not even going to run the year. We're going straight to Miami Homestead. We're going to have a green, white, checkered. Is that what we did?
Well, that's what happened. I mean, that's satire for you. I mean, that is
dark humor.
It all came down to that. And so, NASCAR has to look at this. And I said it. And well, Matt, I've repeated what Matt said.
Yeah.
WWE is very entertaining and it's fun to watch. But if you want to watch a fight, you watch
UFC. Yeah.
UFC.
Yeah, because that's real.
Yeah, it's real.
So both are great and both are really popular. But I don't think the very top of stock car racing, which is NASCAR, should be the entertainment side of racing.
So the fans, this is for all of you. The whole show is for all of you, Coffee with Kenny. But it does shock me a little bit, but the fans, Big Bill France Jr., if we went into the tractor trailer, he called it a show always. Remember that little sign? When you and I would get in trouble, we'd go up there, and there was a sign that said, NASCAR can go as far as you want to go. This is a show, and they always use the word show.
Yes, he did.
Right?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Does it surprise you? It surprises me that the fans didn't bite into the show. That now the fans, they want things to play out. Did it catch you off guard that they want realism? They don't want a show?
That's a great point, Kenny. But the realism can be a show. It's just not a show every minute.
Yeah.
It has to play out naturally. If you have, like we have, what they call overtime, which is ridiculous.
Playoffs. It's a catchy name and everything.
It's ridiculous.
What a quote.
Okay. So if you have that every race, and you have a 4-wide finish every single race, pretty soon it's not all that exciting.
It diminishes.
It's just normal. But if you have a 4-wide finish twice a year, people go crazy.
Yeah.
So it was too much. It was trying too hard. It was putting too much emphasis on, making drama. Too much drama and not enough natural drama.
Right. Yeah, it's manufactured drama. It's not organic.
My notes say, why are fans so angry? They're vicious. They want me and you to go against each other. They cuss me out. I'm like, whoa, what is the anger?
They're passionate.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, to me, I'm like, we're watching NASCAR. And I get on there, I go, great race. And you suck, Wallace. Yeah. You never won a race. You ain't your brother. I'm like, I just said it was a good race. What is vicious anger.
Yeah, Dad gets it too, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't.
Do they tear you up too? I just don't see it.
Not as bad as you, because you provoke
They
them.
come after you.
I mean, but you provoke them.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I
You do it on purpose.
I do.
But not when you said that was a great race today.
No, it was a great race.
I agree with you, when you said that. I agree.
Why are they angry?
I don't know. I just don't know. I don't believe they would act like that in your presence. I don't believe they would say those things in your presence, but they can hide behind, that screen and do it. People need to learn to be able to disagree and still be, not be vicious,
Be
and
civil about it.
be civil about it. Yeah. I mean, Kenny, we love each other. Okay?
We do.
But it's fine if we disagree.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be vicious, and I'm not going to disown you. I mean,
Reminds me of me and my wife, opposites attract.
we're always going to love each other.
Yeah.
We've got a bond that goes way over 50 years.
We're not going to let points destroy it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. God. Yeah. I mean, both of you are really. I just like what you said. Both of you guys have got great situations. All right, we're following up. You are the most well-respected driver in NASCAR history. In my opinion, that's my opinion. You can call, text any driver that is relevant today, and they'll respond to you immediately. Now, with that being said, it appears NASCAR listened to you. When you started talking about these points being wrong, quickly NASCAR responded, maybe not to you, but to everybody. How does that make you feel, that respect that you get?
For me, it's everything. It's my crown jewel of my career. It's my championship. Respect is not given, it's earned.
Yeah, and when I think about that, I think about when you and Jeff Burton were teammates and you guys were going at it, sharing your chassis setups. And I remember Jeff Burton, your teammate, talking about you guys, earning the respect, winning the races, doing it the right way. Did that come in your upbringing with your dad, Julian, just working, grinding it out?
Well, my dad did instill hard work and respect into me, but as I came up the ranks, I just always looked up to the big dog, the Wayne Brooks, the Larry Carsons. Then it was
who are these people?
They're dirt racers, at Batesville. That was the 6-cylinder division hot dog, Wayne Brooks. Then it was Larry Carson, the late model, hot dog. Then it was Larry Phillips.
Yeah, now you're talking.
Yeah. Then it was Dick Trickle.
Yeah.
Then it was Dale Earnhardt. And, I always craved to be treated with respect from those people that I thought were the gods of the sport.
Yeah. Yeah. So you said on our Kenny conversation, and by the way, we've done a couple really good Kenny conversations with Mark. And what really got this pot stirred up is when you said, I feel like everything I did in my past in NASCAR, you felt like it was being diminished. So here NASCAR is now, they're getting ready to announce, we're all waiting, they're getting ready to announce a change in the format. In your mind, what do you want to see for the points format? And this is what the fans have been tuning in. Now we're on our second segment. Are you all in with 36?
I am all in with 36. I think we need to debate what the points pay, how you award the points.
Yeah.
That's a debatable subject. But first you have to say, yes, we're going to go with full season. However, I know we're almost positive we can't get NASCAR to do that. And so I could get behind a 10-race chase format as a compromise. Nothing less. If they come with this 3-3-4 business,
What's this about?
It's not going to resonate with the fans. It's not going to move the needle, and I will not be a supporter of it.
I haven't heard about 3-3-4. You're more privy. You know more than I know. What is that?
Well, that would be elimination of, let's say 16, you'd run 3 races, you'd eliminate, and then you'd run 3 more races, and you'd eliminate some guys, and then you would have X amount of the 16 left for a 4-race points race. That's not, you got to get back to some of the legitimacy and the tradition of auto racing. We are not ball sports. We don't play. We shouldn't have playoffs. We don't have timed races. We don't have overtime. We've got green, white, checkered, or a race, a race off instead of a playoff, whatever kind of thing. But, trying to make it a ball sports is part of what has pissed off so many race fans. The traditional race fans don't like to see, they don't recognize what they're seeing.
You and your son Matt put thousands of miles in the Newell coach, and you talk with each other. And I mean this is a compliment. You're like a mini me. My big brother Rusty, you look at me and Rusty, we look the same. You two look the same. Your son comes up with some really good points. And you talk about the identity. NASCAR has lost its identity. And I asked you earlier in segment 1, why are the fans so angry? And we started talking about that. I like what you had to say. NASCAR has lost its identity. What was your thought on that, Matt?
Well, just take a look as an example. Look at the Porsche 911. When you look at one from 1975 and you look at one from 2025, it still looks like the same car. It has the same identity. Of course, the modern one today is twice the size as the one from 75, but you still know what you're looking at. It's maintained its heritage over the years. You look at the NASCAR cars today, they don't look anything like they used to. A long time ago, they had the big cars, Richard Petty and all those guys drove. Well, in 81, they downsized the car, and it's a new car, but it still looks like a NASCAR race car. It maintained its identity and heritage. Well, you look at the cars today, and they look like sports cars.
The ass is dragging.
Yeah, if you had no idea, if you had no context, nobody to tell you what that was, you would not think it was a NASCAR race car at all. And that's just one example, I think, that NASCAR's gotten away from its identity and its roots. And I think that has pissed off a lot of diehard race fans.
Okay, so we want to get this quote right. And we did this in chronological order. And here's why I went there with your son, Matt. And I'm going to look at my notes, and I'm going to read this. And I'm reading this to Mark, everybody. Here is Steve O'Donnell's quote, the president of NASCAR. Steve O'Donnell, the president of NASCAR, says, "We erred and gave up the core fans for the new fans." And now they said they're going to change, and they hired this company to come out with this phrase, "Hell yeah." We've all seen it. To me, hell yeah means Earnhardt's my man. I liked his daddy. Okay, they said they're going to go back. The ass of the car is dragging right now. I don't like that.
Can't stand it.
They've changed the number where it's at. That pisses you off, Mark.
I can't stand the way it looks. I mean, they could move it back a foot. Yeah. And it looks so much better just 12 inches back. It doesn't have to be dead center of the door. But anyway, I don't want to expand on that.
He gets fired up about it.
The aesthetics of these race cars is more important than people think. Because when you used to see a race car as a young kid and you'd see race cars being, oh my God.
Yeah.
I don't think people look at these cars now and say that, you know, and it could be so easy. People say, well, no, the car doesn't race good. I'm not talking about that. That's a hard thing to fix. How the cars race is difficult. It's easy to fix the looks of this car.
Yeah.
Easy and very inexpensive, and it would draw, there's a certain draw to the aesthetics of a race car. It needs to excite people when they see one.
In segment 1 of Coffee with Kenny, you said there's a lot of unintended consequences. And I got to tell you, Mark, you made me wake up, because it's like a Rubik's Cube. You're going to make all these colors match up. Now we've messed everything up over here. With this car, we created the smooth bottom, the turtle shell. But what we didn't know is when it would spin out, you couldn't get back to the pit area. Now they had to redesign the tow truck. You've said some things to me about unintended consequences. Just elaborate on that a little bit more.
What I meant by that, too, is that there were good concepts in all these decisions along the way. Like, I applaud the concept for so many of these things. Unfortunately, after they were implemented, we saw these things like, oh, I didn't think about that. The negative consequences of, you know, say when and you're in, or they wanted to make downforce with the bottom of the car so that the air wouldn't be as disturbed for the following car. Yeah. I applaud that. But for some reason, they learned after they did it that it was worse for Formula One cars.
Yeah.
And it's worse for NASCAR cars. Unfortunately, we didn't see that, you know, going into it. And I thought, yeah, that's a good principle. Seems good, but it didn't work out. So there's so many things. Everything that you do has consequences. And that's one of the things about when you ask why the fans are so angry. Well, they're angry. Most of those fans that are angry are ones that have been marginalized.
Yeah.
Like, they were marginalized to attract new fans. And those new fans didn't come in large enough numbers to really offset the loss of the other. And they're casual fans. Like, they want to see the green, white, checkered, you know, the wreck at the end, the sparks flying and all that stuff. They don't watch the pre-race show. They don't watch the post-race show. You know, the diehard fan watches all of that. And so, you know, that they have a legitimate reason to be, because I feel they were marginalized.
Okay, people don't like it when I repeat myself, and I haven't. But I want to say Steve O'Donnell's quote one more time, because we got so much more to talk about this subject. The president of NASCAR said they messed up by trying to get new fans, and they lost their old fans. Now, with that being said, let's say we're old. Mark Martin's old. He don't know what he's talking about. But Mark, you said something to me, and I want to tee this up for you. It hasn't helped. TV ratings are down. We've taken grandstands out. So if the TV executives and everybody's right, why are we losing everything?
I agree with that 100%.
You said it.
And I will say this. If you go to a full season schedule, points system, it may not be as exciting. And it may not bring TV ratings back up, but it will certainly bring legitimacy. And if we start now, Steve O'Donnell has said, I got to see the action.
Right.
I want to see the action. But he said, we're going to move back toward the tradition of the sport. That I want to see. And over a period of time, if we can just be cognizant that we are the size we are and not be losing our mind trying to grow the sport so fast, and hold on to our traditions, then I think that over a period of time, we can get some of those fans we lost back. And we need to work hard at developing new fans in a different way. We don't need to attract them with sparklers and fireworks and stuff. We need to attract them with good, solid racing and our tradition and exciting looking race cars and different storylines and build our superstars. We have superstars in the making in the sport right now, but they're too busy talking about the cut line and winning you're in. And you can win a race and nobody even pay any attention. And I hate that. Bubba Wallace won the Brickyard 400. He should have been the baddest mofo in town for a while because he won, but no.
Fizzled out so quick.
It was just gone because winning in, now he's in. And it was,
put him over here, he's in. We'll talk about you 2 months from now.
And so that's just an example. Man, every race is a big deal, and we need to get back to that. Not, oh, now he's in the, he's in the playoffs, and now he don't have to run till, next round of the playoff. It's just, we need to change how we cover our sport.
So Steve O'Donnell and everybody at NASCAR, they're going to know about this conversation. And he said what he said, he said, we're going to fix this. We're going to make it right. We're not giving up. And they said, we are going to now change the racetrack. We're going to leave Phoenix because all the fans got it in their head that Penske's going to win all the championships. So now next year, the points are going to change and the last race is going to be back at Miami Homestead. What is your thoughts on not just going back to Miami Homestead, but what will we change tracks again? What is your thoughts of changing the last race of the year to year? Can they do that with all the logistics and TV schedule? Can they do that?
It's very challenging, as you know, it is. I'm a little bit torn. I get it that Phoenix, I think Homestead can put on a race finale. Racing on the surface, the way that racetrack is, maybe a little bit better than the Phoenix thing. But Phoenix is awesome racetrack.
7 wide down that damn front straightaway.
It is, and the racing was good there, and it has been. But you have to remember they pack that place and have every time since 1989 when we started going there with NASCAR. They packed that place, the campgrounds, the stand, everywhere. And so I understand why, the championship, finale was at Phoenix. I'm a supporter of Homestead. It feels right to me. But I'm also a supporter of looking at maybe changing around, but it's not as necessary as it was because it's not going to be one race for the championship.
Yeah, true.
But I still support moving the finale around because they are smart at NASCAR. They can figure out how to do that and make it exciting. I don't envy NASCAR at all. I don't want to be the ones making.
I don't want to be them.
I don't want to be the one that makes the call on this points. NBC is giving them the green light. Said we don't care what your format is. We'll just do everything we can to cover it. So they have the opening. I don't want to be the one that makes the decision. No. I feel bad for them because no matter what they do, they're going to get beat up. But certainly 80% of the fan base wants to see either full season or a 10-race runoff. Nothing less than that. And people are starting to realize that's a fact. That's not me blowing smoke. That is a fact.
I'm going to do it right now, and hopefully this will be a good one. You were right all along.
I know.
Damn! I said, Mark, you were right all along. And me and Matt's like,
I know.
And the reason I bring that up is because you said 80% of the fans, you took a lot of polls and you got a lot of social media people that you can talk with. Is that the number you see?
I mean, it might be 77. It might not be
Matt?
80.
Well, he did a poll, and then Jeff Gluck did a poll, and motorsport.com did a poll, and the results are pretty much identical.
Within 1 or 2% on each one, yes. No,
Do you think people wanted to ignore those polls?
Initially, I think they did.
Oh yeah, they thought. Well,
Some people did.
The deniers, they crap all over it. But that, between Gluck and my
I did. I thought, well, that's Mark's people.
Yeah, and they said it's old people, right? But then Jeff Gluck did it because I complained to Jeff, and I knew. I said NASCAR won't do that poll because they don't want to see the results.
Yeah.
See, it's not. So many people in the industry want the playoffs because they think that it's more exciting, so they think it's going to help them grow.
Yeah.
It hasn't helped, and it's killed the legitimacy, and finally people are starting to see that. So, they didn't want to believe it. Gluck put the same poll out as me, got dang near exactly the same numbers, and every poll that every other .comer has put out is within 2 or 3 points of, our polls.
I kind of felt that this is a topic that we don't have on our notes. I watched the NASCAR Awards banquet from Arizona through social media. All the drivers spent more time apologizing to Denny Hamlin than they did receiving their award. So the whole industry now, Mark has changed my mind, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm gutted for Denny Hamlin. I'm gutted for Carl Edwards. I didn't put it all together. I do want to, and this is my quote, I do agree with you now because I feel so bad for Carl Edwards and Denny Hamlin. They should not have to put up with that crushing blow. Like Denny said, 40 more seconds later, and he would have been the champion.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is your thoughts of the industry right now, right this minute, the complete industry, the drivers, Roger Penske, Rick Hendrick, they're apologizing for winning the championship. They are. You're sitting there it is. It's like.
Well, first of all, let's not diminish Kyle Larson, and Hendrick Motorsports. They won the championship, and so did Joe Logano last year. Claiming anything other, is just sour grapes.
Yeah.
But when it comes to Denny Hamlin, you couldn't do more to earn it than what they did.
Man, oh man.
And he can probably come back and do as good next year, but no race fan knows how hard it was for him to do what he did. And it really pulls at people's heartstrings about his father. And I know about it. I raced after my father, passed, and I wanted to win the race so freaking bad.
Yeah.
I can imagine what Denny wants his father to see before he passes. It's just.
It is emotional.
It's a very emotional thing. It doesn't diminish whatever, the other champions, but it does expose, that, we need to make a change in this and make this more a legitimate kind of championship race. One race, 40 seconds, one blown tire. If the 24 didn't hit the wall, if he blew a tire like many of the others did and didn't hit the wall, Denny's champion.
William Byron comes to the press conference after the race and puts his hand on Denny. And Denny isn't expected. Denny's like, and William Byron says, I'm sorry, I brought out that caution. Here's a guy that's fighting for the championship, and he's sorry to Denny Hamlin. And that's when I started seeing this shift that I started going, oh my God, maybe this point system is too brutal because everybody's saying, no, the jack breaks on a pit stop, you lose the championship.
Yeah, it's winner take all.
Yeah. But William Byron gained so much respect in that. I mean, that's a true man to have empathy for that. He did not want to be interjected into the championship in that way. He wanted to be the spoiler and winning it himself, but not in that way. There again, we talk about superstars. William Byron needs to be one of our superstars. Unfortunately, we don't know enough about him.
Yeah.
We need to cover these guys more and cover these crew chiefs. We need to make heroes out of these crew chiefs, like the old days, because that's what people latch on to. And we need Kyle Busch, and we need Denny Hamlin. And we need Chastain to be Chastain.
Yeah.
And we need Hocevar to be Hocevar. I don't care. Fans need to be mad.
Yeah.
And they need to be riled.
Yeah.
We need that. They were mad at Earnhardt. They were mad at Walter. They were mad at you gotta have that fire in our sport. And we can achieve that if we get more connected with the players, with the drivers, with the crew chiefs.
Yeah. You bring up a good point about personalities, and I've always been in step with you on this. I just don't see the personalities being promoted. I see personalities, but I don't see the sponsors, and I don't see NASCAR promoting them. We're trying to get Noah Gragson out there.
Yeah.
Mark, you were a personality. Rusty and Earnhardt, Gordon, we had this dynamic. What's going on?
Ricky Rudd, all those guys.
Rooster.
Big personalities. I believe they're there now. I just don't believe they're comfortable showing it, and I don't think we'll cover. I think the media needs to work harder at this. We need to bring the human element more back into it. Drivers and drivers' hands. What are they like? What are they like away from the racetrack? What are they like, around the racetrack? Just anything of interest. The crew chiefs, man, we had Harry Hyde and, we had Tim Brewer and all these different guys. Well, we've got different crew chiefs now. We need them to show and be shown to our fans so that they become connections. And people in the grandstands or people watching TV say, I like that guy. I know how he is. I like him. I'm pulling for them. It's important to our sport, and I think that we've got to work harder at it.
One of my thoughts is that when they're doing TV, I understand it's a very serious sport. There's a lot involved, but I always think that NASCAR, in conjunction with TV, they could be slid some notes like, hey, on Wednesday, this driver was over here, maybe talk about it on the broadcast, something to create that human drama. Now, you said something about Noah. It's funny. And this is, this is Coffee with Kenny. We can say it here. It's very easy. But you mentioned that you thought some of the media kind of backed off because it was too funny. Tell your story about Noah Gragson and your dad with the ball blowers. I mean,
Ball blowers.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've had people text me. My phone's full right now. Ask Mark about this. Ask Mark about that. So your dad became famous because he had an air hose blowing between his legs during the NASCAR races.
Yeah,
and we talked about it back then.
Yeah.
Can we not talk about that nowadays?
Well,
tell me about Noah.
So I love Noah's personality, but I get the impression that he's probably afraid to fully express himself just in this climate that we have. And it was during a rain delay, I believe, and he had one of them big blowers. And the media person was, commented on it, and Noah said something to the effect of, he goes, yeah, Mark Martin, he used to have, a blower between his legs. He goes, but mine's bigger.
Funny.
And he started laughing, and the media guy was like, well, what are you talking about? Are you talking about the blower or something? And he's like, the blower.
Yeah.
They couldn't just have fun with it.
Yeah, they couldn't just, have fun with it.
Do you think, Mark, that is a prime? Unintended consequences? That's a tough one to say. Do you think with the drivers it's unintended consequences? Like, how much we love Jeff Gordon. He's a hero. But Jeff just plays it by the rule book. He won't let his drivers go after. Yeah. He wants them Formula One style. That's my opinion. Now, I love you, Jeff. Because of this environment, are the drivers afraid?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, just look at the things that have happened to some of the drivers. And I'll go all the way back to, and I get it, but I go all the way back to when at Talladega when Dale Jr. said on TV, that ain't That was the coolest thing
It was awesome.
ever.
Ever.
And he got, fined for it and got in trouble for it. And that was like, people are starting to pay attention. You got to watch what you say.
Such a
You've got to
simple
watch
word. Is that
what you
really a
do.
cuss word?
Yeah.
I guess it is.
And you've got to watch what you like on social media, because a like on social media about got Noah Gragson, thrown out of NASCAR.
Thank
He
God.
was out.
Don't mean to interrupt you. Thank God Elon Musk. Now you can like something and nobody sees it.
Exactly.
But Mark, keep going.
Yeah, no, I mean, so those things have toned down and drawn the drivers into their shells. And, we need to figure out how to get that back out there. We need the connection. NASCAR needs deep connections with the drivers. The passion that is felt, I'll say again, from Kyle Busch, from Denny Hamlin, two really polarizing figures. We need more like that. We need people that say, I love that guy. And then people that say, I can't stand that guy. But you need it all, because that passion has driven the sport forever.
So we're not gonna end right now, but we're gonna work that way. Ernie Irvan, very talented race car driver, but wrecked the field. I remember Darlington. Ernie got into it. You and Rusty wrecked out. Lap one. Ernie started, he was going for wins, but he was wrecking people. And Ernie got up in the driver's meeting at Talladega, and it was world news. Ernie apologized to all of you, us. And then Ernie settled down, but he was still Ernie. Right now, we got Carson Hocevar, who wrecks a lot of people. How do we keep him in the storyline and not ruin that?
I hope he doesn't calm down. I hope for our sport he doesn't. I don't have to drive with him. If I was a driver, I would say.
That's funny.
I would say different.
Yeah.
But
I don't want to race him.
But I want to watch him on the gas, never letting off.
Roughing people up.
We need that.
Yeah.
And you speak of Ernie. I just want to say Ernie Irvan was certainly one of the most talented race car drivers I ever raced with, including I raced with Richard Petty and Cale Yarborough and David Pearson. Yeah. So Ernie's incredible. Most people can't change their personality.
Yeah.
Drivers drive. Hocevar, that's his driving personality.
Yeah.
I had my driving personality. Ernie changed his driving personality. I wasn't his fan when he was doing all that.
Yeah.
After that, we became best friends.
Yeah.
I love Ernie, loved him. He was such a great guy. But, he looked at it and he said, in order for me to be successful, I've got to figure out how to not cause these problems and still win races, and he did. So I hope that, Hocevar, doesn't change much. And I'd like to see Chastain get a little bit back where he was, because I think we need it in the sport. Not that I don't feel for somebody that's on the brunt end of, something that really didn't seem fair, but you need all that in our sport. We need the controversy. We need the sparks flying. We need people mad, and I'm not opposed to seeing a little contact afterwards. Not on the racetrack, I'm talking about on pit road. Handle your business. NASCAR, let these guys handle their business.
So with that being said, are you talking, so I was just on Harvick Happy Hour, and I said, Kevin, one of the things we're missing is after the Xfinity race was over at Bristol, you jumped over your car and you were going after the Biff. And he said, well, that was a little bit of a show, but and then he went after Ricky Rudd at Richmond.
Right.
Is that what you're talking about?
Absolutely.
Not car to car, just person to person.
No car to car. Look, I am the guy that is 100% against. After the checkered flag falls, there should never be contact again. You should not tear these race cars up after a race. That is a sin. But I think instead, if you're that mad, you need to go handle your business, man to man. And that will have a bigger effect than you just running over somebody after the race and tearing these cars up. It's ridiculous to tear these cars up for nothing. It's different if you're going for a spot in a race and you tear your car up or tear two cars up. At least you were racing. You don't tear this stuff up after the race. You should be able to go handle your business.
William Byron is one of my favorite people. I went to Hickory and watched him run a late model. Mark, William's one of us. I didn't know it. I mean, he run that outside and he climbed the wall a little bit. And then when William Byron won the Daytona 500, I had him on Kenny Conversation. And man, I was jacked up. Super good guy. But then I went and interviewed Taylor Cool, a dirt racer, runs a modified. She got way more views than our Daytona 500 winner. Mark, that's not right. Taylor Cool, yeah, she's a good-looking girl and all that, but come on. I mean, the Daytona 500 one, I mean, William Byron is Jeff Gordon's gold nugget. You can clearly see that. It's a 24 car. Why does William Byron, and Matt, you can chime in on this too, why does William Byron, Matt, why does he not resonate with the fans?
Well, I think it was like, what Dad was saying earlier. I don't think the media does a good enough job highlighting these guys, their personalities. And I also think that they feel a little bit afraid to fully express themselves because they'll get in trouble either with the media, their car owner, or sponsors. So, it's a multitude of things. But I think Williams, probably like the rest of those guys, they feel like they have to kind of walk on eggshells too.
Yeah, they don't want to deal with the drama.
Well, yeah. I mean, it hurts their career. Yeah. So, if I was William, I'd be sitting there saying, hey, I'm just staying under the radar, do my thing, win my races, and race. And unfortunately, that doesn't build the sport in the same way that being a big personality. I mean, a lot of fans complain about it. We had it back in the day. I believe we could still have it. I don't believe I don't think there's a lack of personality in the sport now. I think there's a lack of coverage of it.
Well, your personality, I feel like, as a driver also becomes part of your brand.
People are going to buy your souvenirs because they like the way you are.
Yeah, besides your results and the races you've won and everything like that, I mean, I think your personality becomes part of your brand. I mean, Rusty Wallace is a certain type of it's a brand, basically.
Right.
Dale Earnhardt is certain. Mark Martin is a type of brand, and if you can't have that personality, you're just left with your results, and that's why it kind of ends up being like, meh.
He wins a race, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of the excitement about a driver is who they are.
Man, good point. Damn, you're right. He is ahead of his time. Yeah. Okay. NASCAR just came out and they said, okay, we're going to let all the Cup. Now I'm thinking of the Winn-Dixie Ford Thunderbird right now. You were incredible in that Winn-Dixie Busch Grand National. I say Xfinity. Next year it's going to be O'Reilly Auto Parts. NASCAR just come out because they realized it had unintended consequences. They just come out and said, okay, in your first and second year of a Cup driver, you can run all the races you want. But after you've run 2 Cup years, we're going to go from 5 to 10. Now they're saying Cup drivers can run 10 races. When you ran that Winn-Dixie car, and there was Harry Gant, and there was Dale Earnhardt Sr., and I won that night race. I won that night race at Richmond, and I looked in the mirror, and Mark Martin was on my ass, and I saw you, and I saw, it was the greatest win of my life, Mark. I'm going to start crying right now. But my point is this. When I won that race, I was the baddest son of a bitch there was.
You were.
They can't say that nowadays because they won't let these Xfinity drivers run the Cup drivers. What do you think of now? They're reversing the course. Come on, Cup drivers. What do you think of that?
I think it's good to have Cup drivers in there, not only for these, other drivers to measure themselves, but for adding some star power to the races. One of the tough things about it is these guys are driving, Gibbs cars, or
We didn't have that back then.
we didn't have that. If you think about it, it was my car, it was Dale's car, it was Darrell Waltrip's car.
Yeah.
It was Harry drove that 7 car, that was always so fast that car could have been affiliated with a Cup team. It was so fast all the time.
Right.
But I think Chris Carrier was a crew chief on that car. Everything he ever worked on, by the way, was fast. But so it's different now. I think it's okay. It's okay to experiment. Hey, let's give this a try. Give the 10 races a try. There are pluses and minuses, I think, to having them more in.
NASCAR is going back to Wilkesboro. They're going back to Bowman Gray, and they're going back to Rockingham. And I think that's on Easter weekend. Rockingham is on a date that is very volatile. But they opened it up because they want all the Cup drivers to come to Rockingham to, sell the place out.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, we're going to go from 5 races. Now the Cup drivers can run 10. By the way, on this big weekend, we want the Cup drivers loaded up at Rockingham. What's your thoughts on that?
Oh, yeah. You need, the sport.
Standalone event.
Racing needs that. Those big events where, like the Snowball Derby, in the 70s, Red Farmer and Jack Ingram and Cup drivers, Buddy Baker, all these guys were at the Snowball Derby.
Yeah.
What you're speaking of at Rockingham sounds the same kind of thing.
Same thing.
Yeah, we need to have events that are not the marquee events, that are big deal, because it's good for racers and race fans.
Okay, and this is it right here. And we joked about this a little bit. Simply put, is it fair to say, I miss the good old days, let's go back to the good old days?
So, Matthew Reaver, I had a discussion about this, about the points format, and and the nostalgic peddlers and all that stuff. And he said something to me that really resonated. I didn't want to hear it, but I think it's true. He said that a lot of what it is, people want to go back to the old days, is they want to feel like they felt when they went to a NASCAR race in the old days. And you can't get back to that today. You can't, there's nothing you could do to feel like you felt 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I get that. So it's a good point. Trying to keep in touch with your roots or your heritage is okay, but you can't ever go back.
I think about Matt. You said we lost our identity. If we wouldn't have changed so much so fast, maybe we could still feel that old day a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's extremely important for, a sport, an organization, company, what have you, to maintain its heritage and identity. It's just like the example I brought up with the Porsche 911. I mean, you look at an old one, you look at a new one.
They're close.
You can tell what it is. And, I think that should be a guiding principle for NASCAR. You can't ever go back to, the good old days or whatever, but you can maintain that heritage, but in a more modern setting. There's nothing wrong with doing stuff that's new or whatever, or adapting to the times, but you have to take into account where you've come from. You can't just erase the past, because when you do that, then who are you?
Yeah.
So.
Okay, everybody. I hope you enjoyed Coffee with Kenny. This was rare, and I want to thank Mark. Mark, for 2 years, you came and watched me race in Wyoming. Mm-hmm. Couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
There you showed up. I know this is a little silly sounding, but I do love you. I tell Rusty all the time, I say, Rusty, I love you. And Rusty would never respond back. Lately, Rusty's been saying, love you too. And I'm like, Rusty? But you made me emotional when we first started because, you know, when you and I were in NASCAR, you were up here and I was down here, even though I was in the Cup Series, and we would pass each other. But competition is a killer. It'll kill you. Competition will kill you.
Yes, it will.
But when we pass each other, I'm like, there's Mark. I know Mark better than anybody. Nobody knows it.
Yeah.
Nobody knows that I know you, but it was fine. I love you, Matt. It's fun watching you grow up. Thank you so much for loving me and liking me.
You have a heart of gold, my friend.
Well, okay, everybody. I hope that I asked him everything. Most important, Mark, guys, quit motherfucking everybody. just calm down. All right. See you later.